Hey folks, SMK Gaming here. I'm on myth-busting duties today once again, and I'll be looking at another one of those PC versus console arguments that have been going on for some time now. When I ask you to name some key differences between Battlefield 2042 on PC and console, there are a few obvious ones. Both use different input devices. One is aim assist, one is higher frames and resolution fidelity. There are other differences however, and just because they aren't as well known, they are important to consider when comparing platforms and who has an advantage over the other. One of those that is believed to be different is recoil. It is believed among the PC community on Battlefield 2042 that they have higher vertical and horizontal recoil compared to controller users. Additionally, they also believe that controller users have a reduced first shot multiplier applied, which makes initial weapon handling and recoil feel easier compared to it not being there. By the end of this video, you will not only know if these supposed differences are present, but we'll see by how much. In typical SMK fashion, I won't simply be giving you tons of numbers and stats here. This is the kind of thing you need to see. So to help with your understanding, I will be doing side-by-side comparisons so you can visually see how this additional recoil looks in game and how it may impact recoil control on that specific platform. Let's get into it folks. On the right we have the PC clips and on the left controller on console. Everything that you will see here with controller is the same when using a controller on PC also. First up is the VHX. Attachments are the Fusion Hollow, factory barrel, light grip and the standard issue extended magazine. Field of view is set to 90 on both platforms also. You can see here that when you look at the panels, the recoil with the controller is approximately 2 full panels, whereas the recoil shown with the VHX on PC is 2.5 panels. According to the popular stats website Synthetic, there is a 0.75 multiplier when using the controller, which represents a 25% reduction in recoil across all weapons. We can clearly see that demonstrated here. What is far more difficult to tell is that there's supposed to be a similar multiplier for horizontal recoil. Looking at these patterns, I'm not really seeing that. However, that may be more evident on weapons which have more horizontal recoil added. It could be a similar situation with the first shot multiplier too. When using a controller, this is reduced by 25% also. There is some evidence of that here. If you look at the first bullet with controller and then when the next one lands, it is pretty much right on top of the first in all patterns. On PC however, whilst you cannot see metal between the first and second shots, they are clearly further apart compared to controller, and that is evident across all 4 patterns here. So what influence does this additional recoil have on one's ability to control it on PC? Well, as many as you already know, I'm quite a competent controller player. I'm quite good at controlling recoil with a controller. On PC though, I can't even say I'm a noob. I don't even have enough time to even achieve such a status. I don't play on PC at all. So here's how well I controlled the recoil of the VHX on both platforms. If I can control this 25% extra recoil on PC as easily as this, then what can an average to good player do? I did mess up a little bit on the last one, but it was nothing crazy. It felt easy. Proper PC players could do it even better than this, but I doubt many controller players can do better than what I've shown here with the controller. So clearly there is a reason for PC players having an additional 25% recoil there. Recoil with a mouse, even when greater, is much easier to control. I'm going to test one more weapon here, the PP29. Attachments are the Fusion Hollow, factory barrel and standard issue ammo. With this weapon, here's where you can see greater evidence of that first shot multiplier with a controller. Those initial bullets are much more grouped together compared to PC. But once again, I struggled to tell the difference in horizontal recoil. It looks the same to me. Looking at all patterns, the initial impressions may be that they all look the same. But look at the peak of the pattern on each platform. On PC there is many more bullets grouped together at the top, which means it reached its max recoil at a faster rate. Looking back at both clips, the PP29 reached maximum recoil around bullet 40 of 65. So it had 25 further bullets grouped at the very top here. With the PP29 when using a controller, it was around bullet 53 of 65, so it took 13 bullets more before reaching max recoil compared to PC. So like before, what influence will this additional recoil have on my ability to control the PP29 when firing? Well, as you can see, not very much. I was very consistent with my controller attempts, both identical. I'm used to controller, so that is expected. On PC, I let my first attempt go a little bit, but was very similar to controller. The final one low, I was more accurate than either of my controller attempts. Look at the size of that black spot compared to those in controller. So if a non-PC player can do this, an additional 25% recoil to 99.9999% of PC players will still favour them over a controller player. Most PC players are only going to do this better than me, but is there many controller players going to do better recoil than what I've demonstrated here? Not very likely. Many will do worse than me, and the disparity between these patterns is only going to be worse. But sure, let's test that out. I got my friend Scooter to help out and attempt using a controller also. He's a good player on controller, but let's see if he can at least match what I did. And here are his attempts versus mine on PC. His controller attempts weren't quite as good as mine. So can you imagine what a noob controller player is capable of? There would be no dark patches, just random bullets dotted across these panels. PC players clearly have more recoil compared to a controller user. That is a fact. No myth busting here today, folks. PC players are speaking the truth with this one. However, when this topic is brought up in conversation, it seems to be used as a means to degrade controller users, as if they cannot be considered skillful as they need help from developers to stay competitive. How is it fair that us PC players have to control more recoil than controller users is often heard? But to say such a thing, you then also have to believe that using a mouse is unfair. A mouse is a far superior aiming device compared to using a joystick. This additional recoil has been added by developers in the name of balance. Balancing lobbies where players using different input devices is never going to be an easy task, and both sides are never going to be happy. But the reality of it is, 25% more recoil will have little effect on PC players due to the ability to better control it with a mouse. I've demonstrated here that a player with very minimal experience on PC can control recoil equally as good, if not better, than a very good controller player. Honestly, I felt there could have been even more and I could have controlled it just as well. The same could not be said with 25% extra on console. The developers are trying to make the difficulty to control this recoil feel the same on both platforms whilst using different input devices. Imagine it like this. You're standing on a steep hill with a 20% gradient and a wheelbarrow with a load of 25 kilograms in it. Alternatively, you have the option of standing on another hill that is half the gradient at 10% but double the load at 50 kilograms. The aim here is to make it fair for both to reach the top, not necessarily at exactly the same time. That will be dependent upon technique, how fast they want to be going in the beginning, how many rests they want to take. Similarly, when it comes to Battlefield 2042, it's not about propping up one platform, it's balancing it to enable each platform to excel, and that is all dependent on decision making, positioning, all those kinds of things. This is what the developers have tried to do by adding that additional 25% recoil. Otherwise, it would be like both wheelbarrows going up the same gradient of hill, but one has a lighter load compared to the other one. Hardly fair now, is it? In finishing, I hope this video not only has shown you the differences in recoil between platforms, but also why it is there. It is literally all a balancing act. Playing on PC has its advantages. Is it wrong for controller users to have theirs and attempt to balance things out? Please let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and hit that subscribe button for further videos on the differences between PC and console. Next one is on movement and whether or not PC players have greater movement compared to controller users. Take care all, see you again in the next one.